Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into an inspiring story that unveils the deep connection between the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his beloved horses. This exploration will not only enrich our understanding of the Prophet's life, but also provide profound lessons on spirituality, kindness, and purpose. Stay tuned until the end, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more enlightening content. The love of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, for horses is not merely an affinity for animals. It is deeply intertwined with the spiritual, cultural, and practical aspects of Islamic tradition. Horses in the time of the Prophet were more than just creatures of beauty and strength. They were symbols of power, dignity, and divine purpose. The Prophet's relationship with horses reflects his broader vision of life, where every creation has a role to play in fulfilling the divine plan. In pre-Islamic Arabia, horses held a position of unparalleled importance, symbolizing much more than mere beasts of burden or instruments of war. They were deeply embedded in the social fabric and cultural psyche of the Arabian Peninsula, representing a blend of survival necessity, social status, and even poetic inspiration. The harsh desert environment of Arabia demanded resilience and endurance, both from its inhabitants and their steeds. As such, the Arabian horse, with its exceptional speed, stamina, and ability to thrive in arid conditions, became a treasured asset to the Bedouin tribes who roamed these vast deserts. Horses in pre-Islamic times were not just pivotal for mobility and warfare. They were also central to trade, communication, and tribal diplomacy. The ability to own and maintain horses often signified wealth and power, as these animals were costly to acquire and require substantial resources to feed and care for properly. This made them a symbol of prestige and honor, particularly among the Bedouins, who developed an intimate bond with their horses, often considering them part of the family. The Bedouins' profound connection to their horses was immortalized in their poetry and oral traditions, where horses were often depicted as symbols of beauty, courage, and loyalty. These poetic expressions celebrated the horse's ability to endure the relentless desert sun, gallop swiftly across sand dunes, and stand firm in the chaos of battle. Horses were not only admired for their physical attributes, but also revered as companions in both solitude and warfare, reflecting the Bedouins' deep respect for these creatures. The cultural importance of horses in Arabia also extended to the spiritual and superstitious realms. Horses were often thought to possess baraka, a form of divine blessing, especially those that demonstrated exceptional qualities or were involved in significant events. This belief in the spiritual power of horses further elevated their status in society, making them subjects of reverence and care. The Arabian horse's lineage was meticulously documented, and breeding practices were carefully managed to preserve and enhance desirable traits, ensuring that the qualities that made these horses so valuable were passed down through generations. The significance of horses in Arabian culture set the stage for their elevated status in Islamic tradition after the advent of Islam. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, began his mission, he encountered a society where horses were already considered noble and esteemed creatures. The Prophet's affinity for horses and his emphasis on their care and training were, therefore, not just personal inclinations, but were also reflective of the broader cultural context of his time. By integrating these existing values with Islamic teachings, he was able to reinforce the spiritual and moral dimensions of horsemanship, linking the care of horses to faith, ethics, and community welfare. The spiritual significance of horses in Islam goes beyond their physical attributes or their utility in battle and transportation. For the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, horses embodied virtues that were central to the Islamic faith: strength, endurance, loyalty, and courage. These were not just traits that made horses valuable companions. They were qualities that the Prophet believed every Muslim should strive to cultivate within themselves. In Islamic tradition, horses are often seen as manifestations of divine creation, reflecting the power and wisdom of Allah. The Quran and Hadith frequently reference horses in contexts that highlight their spiritual and moral significance. For instance, the Quran speaks of horses in the context of war, acknowledging their role in the struggle for justice and righteousness. This association with jihad, in both its physical and spiritual senses, elevates horses to symbols of the believer's inner and outer struggles. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, often used horses as metaphors for spiritual discipline and moral integrity. Just as a horse requires training, care, and guidance to harness its full potential, a believer must also undergo spiritual training to cultivate virtues such as patience, resilience, and steadfastness. This metaphor is particularly evident in the Hadith, where the Prophet said, "Blessing is tied to the forelocks of horses." Sahih al-Bukhari. This statement suggests that horses, when treated with respect and kindness, become conduits of divine favor, reflecting the rewards of adhering to Islamic principles. Moreover, the Prophet's relationship with horses was also a reflection of his holistic understanding of life, where the spiritual and the material worlds are not separate but interconnected. Horses were not just tools for warfare or transportation. They were beings through which a believer could demonstrate faith, earn rewards, and fulfill divine purposes. This understanding is rooted in the broader Islamic principle that every act, when performed with the right intention, can become an act of worship. Caring for horses, training them for battle, or riding them in pursuit of knowledge or justice were all actions that could be imbued with spiritual significance. The valor associated with horses in Islamic tradition also extends to their role in defending the faith. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, emphasized that jihad, or striving in the way of Allah, was not limited to physical combat, but also encompassed the internal struggle against one's own base desires. In this context, horses, with their strength, agility, and readiness for battle, became symbols of the believer's readiness to defend their faith and uphold justice. The care and training of horses were thus seen as preparations not just for physical battles, but for the broader spiritual struggle that every Muslim must engage in. Additionally, the Prophet's emphasis on the ethical treatment of horses aligns with the broader Islamic teachings on animal welfare and environmental stewardship. He taught that kindness to animals was a reflection of one's character, and that mistreatment of animals was a sin. This principle is evident in numerous hadiths, where the Prophet reprimanded those who mistreated their animals, emphasizing that all creatures are part of Allah's creation and deserving of respect and care. The spiritual significance of horses, therefore, extends to the ethical realm, reminding Muslims of their duty to treat all living beings with compassion and mercy. Through these teachings, the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, established a comprehensive framework that connected the physical care of horses with spiritual growth, moral development, and communal responsibility. Horses, in this view, were not just symbols of faith and valor, but were also vehicles for achieving spiritual excellence and fostering a just and compassionate society. By integrating these values into the fabric of Islamic culture, the Prophet ensured that the spiritual significance of horses would endure, serving as a reminder of the deep connection between the divine and the created world. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, owned several horses throughout his life, each of which held a special place in his heart. Among the most famous of these horses were Al-Buraq, Al-Murtajaz, Al-Luhaif, and Al-Saqt. Each horse had its own story and significance, reflecting the deep bond the Prophet shared with these noble creatures. Al-Buraq, although not a horse in the traditional sense, is one of the most significant animals in Islamic tradition. It was the steed that carried the Prophet on the miraculous night journey, Isra and Miraj, from Mecca to Jerusalem and then through the heavens. Al-Buraq is described as a white animal, smaller than a mule but larger than a donkey, with wings on its sides. This journey, a profound spiritual experience, highlights the divine connection between the Prophet and his steed, symbolizing the role of horses in carrying the believer closer to Allah. Al-Murtajaz was another beloved horse of the Prophet, known for its speed and endurance. The name Al-Murtajaz means the one with a loud, clear voice, reflecting the horse's strength and vitality. This horse accompanied the Prophet in several battles, serving as a steadfast companion in times of both peace and conflict. The loyalty and bravery of Al-Murtajaz in battle became a metaphor for the qualities that the Prophet valued in his followers: steadfastness, courage, and unwavering faith. Al-Luhayf was known for its beauty and grace. The Prophet's admiration for this horse was not just due to its physical appearance, but also its temperament. Al-Luhayf was gentle and responsive, reflecting the Prophet's teaching that animals should be treated with kindness and respect. The Prophet often spoke about the importance of gentleness, and his relationship with Al-Luhayf was a living example of this principle. Al-Sak, meaning the one that flows, was another horse beloved by the Prophet. Known for its smooth and graceful gait, Al-Sak was a symbol of the Prophet's appreciation for balance and harmony. The horse's name itself suggests a sense of flow and continuity, qualities that the Prophet valued in both his spiritual journey and his leadership of the Muslim community. The Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, love for horses was not merely a personal preference. It was a reflection of his broader spiritual vision and his understanding of the role of animals in the life of a believer. His relationship with horses offers several important lessons for Muslims today. The Prophet's treatment of his horses reflects his broader teaching on the importance of compassion and kindness to all creatures. He often emphasized that animals should be treated with respect and that cruelty to animals was a serious sin. In one hadith, the Prophet said, "Whoever is kind to the creatures of God is kind to himself." Sahih al-Bukhari. This teaching reminds believers that the way they treat animals is a reflection of their own moral character. Horses in the time of the Prophet were symbols of strength, endurance, and loyalty, qualities that are also essential in the spiritual life of a believer. The Prophet's love for horses reminds Muslims that they should strive to embody these qualities in their own lives. Just as a horse must be trained and cared for to reach its full potential, so too must a believer cultivate their spiritual qualities through discipline, patience, and devotion. The Prophet's emphasis on the care and training of horses was part of his broader teaching on the importance of preparation and readiness. Just as a horse must be prepared for battle, so too must a believer be prepared for the challenges of life. The Prophet's relationship with his horses is a reminder that believers must be vigilant, disciplined, and always ready to strive in the way of Allah, whether in times of peace or conflict. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, understood that every creature has a role to play in the divine plan. His love for horses reflects his recognition of their important role in the life of the Muslim community. Horses were not just animals. They were partners in the spiritual and physical journey of life. The Prophet's relationship with his horses is a reminder that all of Allah's creations have a purpose, and that humans have a responsibility to care for and respect the animals that share their world. The Prophet's affection for horses also speaks volumes about the ethical treatment of animals. His teachings serve as an early advocacy for animal rights, highlighting that they are not mere commodities, but living beings deserving of humane treatment. The Prophet emphasized that one must never overburden a horse, echoing the broader Islamic principle that advocates against all forms of exploitation. He once rebuked a man who was mistreating his camel, stating, "Fear God regarding these animals who cannot speak." Sunan Abu Dawud. This principle extends beyond horses, urging Muslims to reflect on how they treat all living beings. The ethical treatment of animals becomes a mirror reflecting one's inner morality and spiritual state. The Prophet's example teaches that every action towards another creature is recorded by Allah, and that a believer's mercy towards animals is a reflection of their faith. Moreover, the Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, relationship with horses played a crucial role in building a cohesive and prepared community. Horses were not just symbols of individual valor, but were also instrumental in uniting the early Muslim community in Medina. They helped to form a cavalry that was vital in defending the nascent Muslim state against numerous threats. The Prophet's strategic use of horses for defense underscores his foresight and his commitment to safeguarding the Muslim community. His love for horses also had a communal aspect. It wasn't limited to personal ownership, but extended to encouraging his companions to care for and breed horses, understanding their importance for the community's strength and resilience. This collective effort in breeding and maintaining horses became a means of fostering unity and mutual responsibility among the early Muslims. The legacy of the Prophet Muhammad's, peace and blessings be upon him, love for horses transcends time, continuing to inspire and guide Muslims in their spiritual and ethical conduct. This relationship between the Prophet and his horses is not merely a historical footnote, but a timeless lesson in courage, compassion, and faith. It teaches that love and respect for all of Allah's creations is an integral part of being a true believer. Today, Muslims around the world look to the Prophet's example as a guide for how to interact with all forms of life. The Prophet's love for horses is a reminder of the harmonious relationship between humanity and the natural world, a relationship based on mutual respect and the recognition of the divine within all of creation. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the profound connection between the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and his beloved horses. We hope this exploration has deepened your understanding and inspired you to reflect on your own relationships with all of Allah's creations. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. May peace and blessings be upon you all.